This filler has definitely stepped it up from what it was a few weeks ago with the Yamato inside of that glass stuff to what it is right now. Definitely a whole different ball game in this episode yet again. An exquisite one, very similar to last week's episode. It just really was in a league of its own as far as filler goes. If you have a perception of Naruto filler being bad, this episode will change your mind. So I like how this episode, while it was pertaining to the Itachi stuff, it's still showing you Kakashi's perception as to what's going on right now and how he feels about all this and how he kind of felt like, damn, I didn't know Itachi at all at this particular point because, you know, he thought he knew everything about Itachi. He thought for the most part he had him pinned down for what kind of guy he was and the way the elders lied to him and everything, and it just kind of makes it look like a really shitty situation at the end of it all. And I like how this was also setting things up so things make a little more sense, like in the beginning of Naruto and all of Naruto Part 1 for that matter, where was Danzo? I'd imagine either in the filler it's going to get explained or somewhere along the lines it was just that it actually happened because Danzo pretty much, you know, he wasn't in original. He wasn't even thought of at that particular point, to be fair. He was thought up in Shippuden. It wasn't until that particular point that he got his position back that Hiruzen gave him his position because he pretty much let him go after this episode or basically told him, yo, your foundation, your Anbu, it's done. You're done. And I'm glad that he finally stepped it up because I'll be honest with you, throughout this filler, my perception of the third Hokage definitely was a little altered because it was like Danzo was doing everything that he wanted to. He took attempts on your life and you were still letting him go. But I can appreciate and respect the fact that he admitted in this episode, the third Hokage, Sarutobi, admitted, I'm weak. And that's mainly one of the reasons why I let Danzo do these things and why a lot of this stuff happened, why this happened to the Uchiha, because I'm weak. And it takes a lot from a person to admit that they couldn't do what needs to be done or they couldn't muster up what needed to be done to do certain things. So definitely I respect that, but nonetheless it's still like, man, you let this Danzo fucking creep do so many different things. And it was interesting as well seeing Kakashi going back to the Uchiha, pretty much, not village, but you know, they're part of Konoha, and how like everybody was just like, what are you doing here? Get out of here. And see the little flashback, and I think that was actually a piece of canon that they actually incorporated into the actual anime, where Obito, you know, he sees a flashback of Obito, and he's like kissing the Rin picture. That's actually canon, so little tidbit there was some bit of canon in there, and it just overall goes back into the thing, and to be honest with you, between these fillers and a couple things I've been seeing with Naruto Shippuden, I definitely sympathize a little bit more with the Obito character because I think it definitely stresses and makes you understand a little bit more of him and seeing like the other side of it with Kakashi. I don't know, just episodes like this where you see like who Obito was and how he was just this nice little kid and everything of who he was to who he is now. It definitely makes me sympathize a little bit with the characters slightly. And then we see him in this episode. It also gave you context as to how they met, him and Itachi, what he was doing, how the village was kind of on alert of an infiltrator. And it just overall shows that they were starting to catch up to him. They were starting to little by little know that he was around, or not he was around, but that there was an infiltrator because they were setting up marks or setting up people to watch because there was an infiltrator. So definitely gave a lot of context to different things that was going on in the past that we've heard of, but we never seen the full extent of it. Like when Itachi was, you know, starting up the massacre, pretty much it was Obito that started it all. He was standing right in front of there and then he just bursted in. So you definitely get more context with this episode, and that's something that I really appreciated. The emotion once again was there. Them feels was once again there. And it was just really interesting to see as well the scene with Sasuke while he's in the school by himself, and you see Guy and Kakashi there. And the way this episode ended off, it definitely was very appropriate what the third Hokage did. With all the fuck-ups that he did throughout this filler that we've seen, you know, letting Danzo run the show, one of the things that I definitely say he did right was actually appointing Kakashi, getting him out of the Anbu, because the Anbu is such a dark place. Like, when Minato did it, Minato was doing it mainly, I'm going to keep my student by me so that I can make him a little bit less damage from this whole situation. At least he'll be next to me. But once Minato was gone, I think it would have been time to let him out of the Anbu. Leaving him in the Anbu, while it would take his mind off of what happened, he's just going to be doing dark and fucked up things, so that twisted him even more. So, and again, the third Hokage did admit that he fucked up, so I appreciate that with the character, that he wasn't a naive idiot. Like, at first you would perceive it, if you would have watched some of the beginning of this, for like, this guy is like, why is he being such an idiot, letting Danzo do this, and, you know, just sitting back. You understand it was mainly due to his own weakness and his own flaws in his character, and that's what made him a lot more interesting and made him a lot more realistic in that sense. And also finally getting to see the actual scene where Itachi threatened Danzo, like, yo, you do anything to my little brother, you're gone. I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna fuck you up. And that's something that we heard of for a while, that he threatened Danzo and he did these things. And I was always like, damn, I would love to see that scene. And we got to actually see it. So definitely a lot of things that we heard of, we got to see, and it all felt well. And overall, this filler, like, it improved so much. And I guess it just took Itachi, the badass of them all, the Anbu, to come in and show us what good filler should be like. And you could definitely see that we're not gonna have that much more of this filler. I mean, if they have any more filler after Kakashi goes and, you know, meets Naruto and them and starts up the group, then it would just be pointless. So I'm imagining we're gonna have maybe a few more episodes, because where this episode ended off, he's pretty much next week going to be having, you know, his first batch of kids, and where the whole rumor of how he never passes any genin. And I just really like that they're adding so much stuff that this could almost be Kishimoto writing backstories of stuff that, you know, he missed out on and things that he left vague. And this is like inking in some of the stuff. So I definitely felt like this episode, it was a very good one. It wasn't perfect, and I say it was slightly less than last week's episode, because last week's episode, I'm not gonna lie, that shit was just off the chain, but it was still a very good episode nonetheless, and overall it just filled in a lot of blanks, and it really just added context to what went down back in the day, and kind of made reasonings as to why we didn't see Danzo with the third Hokage in the original Naruto. I'm gonna give this one 8 out of 10. Nothing special regarding the animation. Last week must have been a fluke. There was some nice art scenes here or there in the episode, but as far as animation, it wasn't anything spectacular, and overall it was just a very good episode, again, of them inking in stuff in the past that I would have loved to see, and just Itachi made this shit awesome, and seeing how even the third Hokage was on Itachi's side to the very end, even after they basically set him up to become a monster. He left checkpoints. If you want to come check on your brother, go ahead. I'll leave the, you know, commands or whatever the same, so that way you could slip in and out. So it just really gave a lot of characterization to the third Hokage, that he wasn't stupid, he was just too kind. And that's something that, I guess that's a good flaw in a way, bad flaw in a way. I don't know what you guys think. Overall, what do you think of this episode, though? Did you get them feels once again with the Itachi, you know, Uchiha Massacre? I've seen it quite a bit at this point. You know, I've seen a lot of flashbacks of it. But getting the whole extent up to everything that led up to it, and seeing all the small details that was, like, skipped over and skimmed over when, you know, people have told it in the past, it just really added that much more to the impact of it. And getting to see Danzo get fired from his position and basically told, you stay in your quarters like a little bitch, was fucking awesome. I mean, fuck Danzo, bro. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up for that Uchiha Massacre, getting all the context to it. I feel as though this filler, it might be the best filler in Naruto at this point. Yeah, we had some slow ones with the Yamato stuff, but ever since the Itachi Anbu stuff and onward, and like the first few, it's actually been pretty fucking awesome. So definitely one of the finer fillers in all of Naruto, I will say that. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. Don't lose your way!